The editor-in-chief of CBS News, Barry Weiss, is defending her decision to fire the veteran 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley. He was fired on Tuesday evening after a heated staff meeting the day before. Scott Pelley pressed the show's new executive producer about recent firings, pretty much of the whole top echelon of producers and correspondents on the programme. Mr. Pelley also accused Weiss of murdering, his word, 60 Minutes. She told staff today in an editorial meeting that she tried to mend relations with Pelley before his termination. However, Scott Pelley says to the New York Times, Barry Weiss knows what she said is not true. Vivian Schiller is the executive director of Aspen Digital, also the former president and CEO of NPR, and, if that were not enough, CNN's former head of documentary and long-form divisions. Vivian joins me now from Washington. I'm truly... It's a difficult one, this, and I need to get your perspective because on the one hand, after Pelley did say what he did and apparently did not seem to want to sort of either kiss or make up or follow leadership, then surely management has the right and duty to manage, and therefore he had to go. But at the same time, newsrooms are newsrooms, and there has to be a sort of a free style and a free view available. So square that circle, Vivian.
Yeah, it is a very, very tough one. First of all, if you don't mind, I just think it's important for because maybe not all of your viewers completely know what 60 Minutes means in the world of journalism and in American television news. It is sort of the pinnacle of investigative broadcast television. So that's why people care about this so much. And the concern, of course, is with the new ownership of CBS News, which may ultimately be also the owners of CNN, not for nothing, about some political influence on the news programming. So this is a very big deal when it comes to making sure that people get quality information. And I think that's why there's so much passion and heat and why this has become a story beyond just those of us that are obsessed with going on with media. But you are right. First of all, newsrooms, I know it, you know it, are very tough places, and investigative reporters are the toughest of the toughest. And so it didn't surprise me at all that Scott Pelley said what he did. And, you know, I'm sure he comes by it honestly. That said, I'm a little troubled by the fact that he was asked by management to have several times to have a conversation. He refused to talk to them and waited until he was in a public setting.
Right. You see, that's really, the point. I mean, we're a business program, so we obviously have to do a lens of that to a certain extent. At the end of the day, Scott Pelley, the journalist, even here at CNN, I don't own it. I mean, I may not like the owners or may like them or not ever, but I don't like them. They are the shareholders that own it. And if they've said Barry Weiss and Nick Bilton should run it, am I being too capitalist here?
Well, it's not even being capitalist or not capitalist, just the reality. And, you know, in my long career, you too, for your long career at CNN, there have been many owners. Owners get to make the decisions. And so, no, I mean, what he said, it doesn't surprise me that he was fired. I think he put them in that position. He must have known that. I mean, this is not a stupid man. He knew right. perfectly well that by saying you are murdering CBS, he was going to put them in a position where they really had no choice. And particularly, they tried to speak to him the next day and he refused. So this was bound to happen.
On the bigger question, because I was just reading some various interpretations, people are saying, look, their methods may be wrong, Weiss and Bilton, but at the end of the day, they are addressing something that legacy television simply isn't being watched, and it has to reform and it has to shift to the middle. And, you know, I mean, we've got the same sort of arguments here, as you know. And to that extent, old lags like me who sort of say, oh, and I remember the typewriters and people sort of ripping scripts. People turn around and say, you know, that was then, this is now. Grow up. I don't know. It's very difficult, Vivian.
No, you're absolutely right. But there's a big but coming. You're absolutely right. Audiences are declining. The audiences are older than you and I are. So, you know, that tells you something. And of course, things have to change. Here's the issue. New management, Barry Weiss, has not really articulated a vision for where she wants to go. She says the things aren't working. but she has yet to say, other than in sort of very broad sense of we have to be more digital, we need to be more, less formal, those kind of things. She hasn't really articulated a vision. I mean, maybe now that Nick Bilton is there, he will, but there is a vacuum right now that I think is part of the consternation that you're getting in CBS. If there was a compelling path forward of what to do to bring CBS, keep its editorial standards, but bring it into the digital age and the way people consume media now, that would be a whole different thing.
I am so grateful, Vivian. Thank you very much for joining us. Much appreciated.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.